Hello everybody and welcome back to Conor here, All Leeds TV, fresh off the Hull City game and straight into the Cardiff City game at the weekend. Now listen, Cardiff City play tonight, so we're going to get that preview a little bit later on underway, but let's get into your Hull City review as of now. Listen, good game, really good game in terms of competitiveness. I thought it was a really competitive game. I was there on the night, absolutely freezing. I'm sure a lot of you whites got down there in a similar way. I got down from the train in Sheffield. Absolute chaos with the delays and everything like this. So this is why I'm absolutely knackered today. Got home at about 1 o'clock yesterday, absolutely dead on my feet. But yeah, got down there. It was a bit chaotic, to be quite frank. It wasn't a nice night for football. It was grimy, it was wet, it was awful, awful weather conditions. And you didn't know whether or not that was going to play a part. It didn't massively in the end, but God, where do I start? About Leeds in general, I thought it carried on from Huddersfield really. I mean, obviously we started the game strongly at Huddersfield, but we started the game really poorly. I thought against Hull once again, we started the game really poorly. You've got to look at the whole game in general. We won the game, but I was talking to a lot of lads on the way back on the train who weren't happy with the performance. But listen, if that's what you're talking about when you win games, if that's what you're talking about when you're 11 points ahead of third, you're doing all right, aren't you? Let's be frank, you're doing absolutely fine. If that is your mindset, you know, if you're winning games 2-0, you're keeping your 12 clean sheet of the season, you know, scoring as many goals, you've got an excellent goal difference, and if you're complaining about the performance, then you're doing absolutely fine in this division, because this division, it will eat you up and spit you straight back out again. But I thought they came and they really gave it a good go. As Stuart Dallas said, you know, Dallas's main point in his post-match interview was to keep Jared Bowen quiet, and he did. He was absolutely excellent. Dallas, absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't say he was man of the match at all. I would say man of the match would be Kiko Casilla, and for me that says a lot. You know, it says a lot. He was busy, he really was busy. There was 3 or 4 really good opportunities for Hull, didn't take them, and that's what you've got to do in this division, especially against very good sides like Leeds United. You get your opportunities, you've got to put them away, and if you don't, you're going to get punished, and that's exactly what happened. If you're looking at this Hull side, obviously, because we're reviewing the game, I like to review them as well. I thought in the first half it was a dull affair. I didn't think either team offered much, to be quite frank, and it could have been a 13th versus 14th game. That's what it offered up. It didn't offer anything up. It was pretty drab, to be quite frank. Second half started and it was end to end. It was a very open game, and that's where it sort of, the game started to take to life a little bit, if I'm being brutally honest with you. A lot of frustration in the crowd as well. Just a lot of sloppy, slack passing, especially from Matthias Klick. He's one who I would pick out. I think even at Huddersfield, when me and Oscar were sat here, very sloppy in the passes, and Leeds weren't able to get any momentum going really. I thought the passing in the first half in particular was slow, and once again for me, the only outlet, the only real threat in that first half was Helder Costa. Once again, you know, Jack Harrison, very inconsistent. He had this is what I mean with Harrison. I think I've grown on him so much, but I do believe that there is still a player there that needs to grow. You know, I think he's in this past sort of 7-8 games, he's been excellent. I really do think that, but I still think that he does have performances in him like last night, and we needed Jack Harrison at his optimum last night. You know, I was looking at the player ratings the other night, and I think he was getting last night he was getting 6, 7s, and you know, in his previous games he's been getting 8s, 9s, and obviously you can't keep that level up all the time. But I thought in the first half and going into the second half, we really needed Jack Harrison in that half, because a lot was going down the left. Leeds were overloading the ball on the left and the right, and there was only one man in that first half in particular who I thought was dangerous, and that was Helder Costa. I'd like to particularly, I don't want to massively go on about stats, because you've got all your other outlets who can do that, but I want to talk about what I saw. And what I saw in particular from the game, if I was sort of analysing the game, was you saw in full flow last night Marcelo Bielsa's overloads on each wing. On each wing is overloads. Leeds get the ball, they sort of do this triangular little formation. You've got, let's say, Klick, you've got Ayling, and then you'll have Costa, let's say, on the right hand side. Leeds overload down there, and there's constant right back overlap of the winger, and we do it on the left. and we do it on the right. We get in absolutely fantastic positions where we're in acres of space in the penalty box. Sometimes it's massively frustrating when Leeds get into those positions and we're wasteful. We hit the first man, we're not able to find Patrick Bamford, we're not able to find Pablo Hernandez coming in, and you could see that in that first half last night. Leeds constantly overloading that right hand side in particular, then we're overloading that left hand side. Nothing was coming off it because we get into these killer positions and we're not able to put the opposition to bed in terms of overloading those positions because we don't find that final third pass, which in that first half was a massive telling tale for me. I really didn't think that we had that cutting edge, and I genuinely thought, I was saying to the lad next to me, I thought, we're pushing here, but they're going to get us here. There was a couple of occasions where Jared Bowen got away from Dallas. You know, he was getting the ball in the centre and he was coming down. You could see he was floating in from the right into the centre because he wasn't getting a lot of joy on that right hand side. So he was coming into the centre and pushing Hull forward. And I tell you what, when they did come forward, there wasn't a relaxed person in the crowd. There really weren't. There wasn't. Sorry, I feel they were coming forward with a lot of sort of fluidity. They kept the ball really well in the attacking third. I don't think they necessarily did much, but I think every time they got the ball, Grosicki and Bowen still looked like they could do something. Do you know what I mean? There was one excellent occasion where Bowen came in off his left on his left hand side. From the right onto his left, excellent block by Dallas, and I tell you what, that was flying into the top corner. He was hit with absolute venom. I was about 5 yards away from him. Grosicki came into it a little bit more in the second half. He was taking corner after corner after corner, and you could tell exactly what Hull had done. You know, they're good on the ball. They're a neat, tricky football side. You know, we said it in the previews. You know, when you're talking about them battering Preston, who got an excellent win last night. That is no mean feat. Preston are a very good side. Slavan Bilic coming out and saying that Hull were the best team that West Bromwich Albion side have faced this season, and that was including Leeds. Do you know what I mean? This is a side who, if they get their stuff together, you know, they've got the basis to really hit form and get into that sort of top six for me. They really do. You know, you forget they've got players out. You know, they've got a lot of players out, and Leeds comparatively, we've got a lot of players out as well. But you know, when you look at Stewart, who's normally in that middle, ticking things over as well. I think we did really well to nullify their threats, because I do think they were dangerous when they had the ball, and I don't think you can turn around and say that, you know, they didn't have chances, because they did. You know, 11 shots on goal. Leeds had 12 shots on goal. They had 2 on target. We had 2 on target. You know, it wasn't as cutthroat as we're all making out, and I'm really buzzing with the win there, because that makes it even more commendable for Leeds United to then grind out and get the win. I think that's been the same for a couple of games now. You know, you look at Huddersfield, could have arguably gone either way. That first half, could we have been losing it in that first half? You know, a little bit of luck, in my personal opinion. It is. It's not all about defensive resoluteness, you know. It's about other teams being able to finish. But it's a little bit of luck, but the defence have been brilliant so far. And let's hope that continues. Once again, Stuart Dallison at left back, and makeshift. You got a winger at left back. Berardi was great last night. The thing is with Berardi is, I'm so like buzzing with how he performs, and I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, but when he came in last season, when he come in for bouts last season, he was insane as well. You know, you can't take that out. He was insane. The only thing which gripes me a little bit with Berardi is it's when sort of there's you know, a real massive occasion, but you can't really say that in these last 2 games. He's been absolutely excellent, so you can't say that. But there is sort of a theme when Berardi does get a coherent sort of string of games, that there's 2 or 3 games there that there might be maybe a mistake or a gilt-edged pass which goes to the opposition, you know, and that's backed up by stats. So hopefully, I think Berardi's a stellar second replacement. I think he's been excellent so far, but I am hoping to see Liam back in there soon. And the reason behind that is because, you know, you look at last night, for example, and this isn't Berardi's fault. He might be able to compete with Tom Eaves. Tom Eaves, who I thought was really good last night, he might be able to compete with him. But the thing is, when Leeds are defending from corners, you lose a person in Liam Cooper, who's what, 6'1", 6'2", and that is massive. That's huge. You know, that's going to give Tom Eaves the option whenever he wants to nod the ball towards goal. You know what I mean? You saw him from, it was 3 corners last night where he nodded it towards goal. You know, one which pulled off a massive save. That's not a slight on Berardi, but Cooper is a bigger individual. So if Cooper is in that box defending, we are going to be able to head the ball away more consistently and not have to rely on Kiko Casilla pulling out worldly saves. That's not Berardi, but you won't see Berardi normally in a penalty box nodding the ball out. It doesn't happen. Whereas when Cooper's in there, he's nodding the ball out with Ben White, you know. But yeah, you could definitely tell that they were exposing that, definitely. And I do still feel like that's a little bit which worries me, because you know, it's a great win last night. It was a great win. We lost 2-0 last season. Bowen ran the show. This season, Bowen was quiet, and we kept their main threats quiet. Really, apart from Tom Eaves, who I thought had a really good game. But you know, it is one of those where comparatively we've won the game 2-0 and we're 11 points clear. But I'm just very much of the let's calm down. You know, we've always won the league by Christmas. We've always won the league by Christmas, and I'm very much like that. Feet on the ground. We've got a massive Christmas schedule coming up, you know. And I think you've just got to like keep it up here, keep it down. You know, great performance, but we go on to Cardiff. And that's going to be a tough game as well. You know, we get into February, we get into March, and we're top of the league, and we're 11 points clear. Then that's when I'll start getting a bit excited. Do you know what I mean? But at this moment in time, it's very, very, very early days. Very early days. You know, by this point last season, let's be right, guys. Norwich weren't even in the picture. Villa weren't even in the picture. Sheffield United were maybe edging close. So this is what I mean. You know, and it's not normally do you get a team 11 points clear in second. It's very rare. But at the same time, records are there to be broken. So let's. And you're probably thinking to yourself, half glass empty, half glass full sort of thing. But you've just got to keep your feet on the ground with this Leeds United team. We know that with years gone by. So with that, you know, an amazing win, buzzing with the win. We should all be very excited at that. We managed to keep, you know, the division's best, in my opinion, completely quiet with a makeshift left back. We picked them off. But, you know, I thought it was a very even game. In my personal opinion, I thought it was a very even game. I thought that could have gone either way if it wasn't for, you know, you look at that, if Kiko Casilla hadn't pulled off that worldly save, it could have been 1-1 and a twitchy end. But brilliant save, and we went on to get the winner and excellent scenes. So let's hope as well, you saw Click sort of hobble off towards the end. Let's hope that he's all right. So we move on to your Cardiff City preview. In years gone by, a tough game for Leeds United. You know, when Cardiff have come to town, always been a really tough game. Obviously with Neil Warnock, I remember going down there and them stuffing 4 past us 3 or 4 years ago. But listen, completely different team, completely different Cardiff team as well. We welcome the new Cardiff manager, where warm reception for Neil Harris, I presume, will come. I am going to the game, like I said. Shout out to Lucas, shout out to Tom, and shout out to Matty, who I met last night and who, you know, I had a beer with. I met near the Billy Bremner statue as well, you know, a little bit later on as well. So credit to you guys, meeting up with those guys as well. So if any of you guys are about for the Cardiff game, once again, we will be at the Billy Bremner statue. Come over, say hi, we'll have a chat. It was great last night, thoroughly enjoyed it. So on to Cardiff. It looks like, obviously, they're playing tonight against the Brentford side away from home, so that'll be really telling, because we'll be able to see where they're at, you know, where the progression is at. Obviously, they've got key players who are coming back. Joe Rawls, 5 goals for them this season, is coming back into the fray, which is a massive boost. Gavin White is coming back into the fray as well, I believe, back from a slight niggle. So Cardiff have got a host of people, a bit of a plethora of people to choose from in this game. So yeah, a little bit different to Huddersfield and Hull City, where they had, you know, numerous injuries out. I think this is going to be a game where Leeds are going to be really, you know, they're really going to have to be up for it. We're really going to be focused on this. They've not been great away from home. Cardiff have actually been shocking at home, away from home. Sorry, but at home, you know, they've only lost 1. So it is one of those where they're in that position at this moment in time, 9th position, and I think that is because obviously they've not managed to pick games up away from home, which is a massive, you know, a hindrance on many teams in this division, isn't it? They're able to pick home form up, but away form isn't normally the one. Who would I look out for in this fixture? It would be Junior Hoylett. Every time we've played against this guy, he's been excellent. You know, 11 caps this season, 2 goals, and he's the assist man, isn't he? 7 assists already this season, and I tell you what, I mean, every time you see, if you watch Quest, if you watch any highlight show, you always see Junior Hoylett getting those assists. But listen, we've managed to keep Bowen quiet. I think the only sort of differential there is that Cardiff have just got quality all over the pitch. You know, you've got Ward, you've got Tomlin as well. Tomlin, who's now into the fray. You know, we all know that he's a good Championship player. Now he's managed to lose 2 or 3 stone. Got the winner against Barnsley at the weekend. Is he going to be in the centre attacking midfield role? Looks like Neil Harris has managed to bring him on the brink of maybe leaving the club, and he's managed to fit him in this Cardiff City side. So we'll have to wait and see if Danny Ward's going to be playing in this one. Obviously their top scorer with 5 goals, so you know, you look at someone like Patrick Bamford, who's been a bit streaky this season, you know, 7 goals for our striker. Special mention to him for the other night as well. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And about Robert Glatzel, you know, he's been out for a while now, and they welcome back the striker tonight against Brentford, I believe, if he is back from injury, but they've said that he's definitely going to be back for Leeds at the weekend. So I believe that's going to be Gavin White, I believe that's Joe Rawls, and I believe that is going to be Glatzel, who I believe is going to be fully fit for the Leeds game, or if not tonight against the Brentford, this Brentford side. So yeah, listen, Mendes Lang, they've got Bacuna as well, Leandro Bacuna, so they've got players all over the pitch. They really have got players all over this pitch, and they can beat anyone on the day. I believe they could beat anybody in this division on their day, Cardiff, so I'll have to wait and see. But, you know, Leeds, we need to keep our heads, we really do. They've only lost 1 game in 6 of Cardiff. Obviously Leeds have won 7 on the bounce, but we know we're not naive. We're not naive in this division. We know that tally does end. You know, you're not going to win every single game in this division. It's not how it works. So yeah, I'm pretty confident about this one, but I think it's going to be a really, really tough game, a completely different game to the Hull City game, obviously, with the likes of Gary Medine being able to come off the bench, Isaac Vassell, Danny Ward. It's going to be set piece City, it really is, and it does make me a little bit worried after last night, because obviously Tom Eaves, Irvine, and you know, I think either Reece Burke or DeWeese, I think he got a header in as well. But it does worry me because, you know, we sort of lost a few set pieces in the air last night. Now you've got the likes of Aidan Flynn, who's just a monster in the air. So I genuinely think they're going to be targeting that from Leeds United. I think Cardiff, if I could pick any team to sort of target that way of playing football, it would be Stoke and it would be Cardiff. Cardiff, you know, the likes of essentially Bennett whipping the balls in, potentially Gavin White, you know, Leandro Bacuna, who takes the set pieces normally as well. Then you got in the middle, you know, you got the likes of Flint, Danny Ward, etc, etc. Sol Bamba, who I don't know if he's going to be fit and ready. I'm not 100% sure. I know he's injured. So this is what Leeds have to contend with. It's going to be a completely different task. So that's what I mean. Feet on the ground. It's going to be a different game. I think we've got to score early. I think we've got to score early because they're going to come. They're going to try frustrate. Neil Harris has got a good record against us as well. Knows how to play against Leeds. Did really well against us last season for Millwall. Do you know what I mean? 2 tight games. So we're going to have to be really up for it. Really, really up for it. And it's going to be a different sort of game. That's all I'm going to say, guys. A very different sort of game. So let me know what you guys think in this comment section below. Do you agree with what I said in the whole thing? Do you think maybe I was a little bit harsh? What about the Cardiff thing? Do you expect us to go out there and romp them, or do you expect it to be a different game? Do you personally think that we're going to be able to withstand the sort of onslaught of set pieces? I think we've got to score early. I really do, and if we score early, I think we'll win the game, but I just don't want this game to drag out. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below.